Hey everyone, welcome back to BrowncoatNerd. Yes, we are looking at yet another Casio watch. This time the Casio A168. Now, real quick, if you're finding this channel for the first time, a disclaimer, I am not a watch reviewer. I'm not really a watch collector, at least I wasn't until about 3 months ago. Just recently got into this. Haven't worn a watch since probably the 90s. Just real quick, I might appear that I don't know what I'm talking about, and that's mostly because I don't. So let's jump into this. If you aren't keeping track at home, this is my second Casio, or really my second wristwatch that I've purchased recently. Started out with this, the Casio F91W. A while back, I saw a YouTube video on it, and I had vague memories of my older brother or one of my cousins having it, and it was just the coolest watch in the world because it has this little really crappy LED light on it. So I purchased that, wore it that night, realized actually I really enjoy having a watch on, being able to look at the time real quick without having to go for my phone. I also just kind of like the general independence of it, not being dependent upon my phone. So I was like, yeah, let's try this watch thing out. Now with the F91W, I actually really like the small size. I'm not into the big watches. It is comfortable. However, the backlight pretty much sucked on it, and I realized that this is something I was going to enjoy. So I got on Amazon that night after wearing the F91W for the first time and found this guy. And I really like the kind of retro classic look of it. It's got a much better, or actually usable backlight on it. And the features, I don't need anything super fancy. I mean, it's just a digital watch. You're not going to get anything crazy. But it had what I thought I would like. Got it, wore it, realized, yes, I really do like this watch a lot. So this watch, one of the things I kind of found frustrating, I came across 3 different dates as to when it was originally released. I found 1989, 1991, and 1995. So this watch was released sometime between 89 and 95. It's got 30 meters of water resistance, which once again, kind of on par with the F91W. Nothing crazy, but it's going to make do for what most people will need. I do see people talking about swimming with them. Yes, and I understand 30 meters is quite a few feet underwater. However, Casio just kind of says this is more of, get it wet while washing your hands, getting it wet in the rain. They don't necessarily recommend swimming with it, although you will find plenty of testimonies of people using Casio 30-meter water-resistant watches and taking them much deeper than what they're rated for. So it's good enough. It does have a plastic body. It is not an actual metal body, just has this kind of plastic chrome look on it, which is very hazy and smudgy. Alright, plastic body. It does have the stainless steel adjustable band, which was nice. Once again, I wasn't really a watch guy. It did pull a few hairs. Other than that, I found it to be actually quite comfortable. And like I said, the hair pulling wasn't really very consistent. Once again, I don't have a whole lot to compare this to, but I didn't find it uncomfortable. I actually find it quite comfortable. I wear this watch a lot at home, just around the house, and it's plenty comfortable for me. The cover on it, or the crystal, as you watch people call it, is acrylic, and that's just the clear cover over the face of the watch, in case you're wondering. The basic ones are going to be acrylic, and as far as Casio goes, they have a mineral crystal. That's a step up, and then I think their high-end watches, they do use sapphire. Lots of other companies have kind of synthetic brandings of their own name on fancy covers, but your acrylic is your basic one, and at this price range, which I think was just over $20 on Amazon, I mean, that's what you would expect. Now the module, which is the actual brains inside the watch, the little chip in the LCD display, is $32.98. That is the module number. They use that, I think, in a few other watches. I know I do have one other one that I might end up modding. We'll see. And it also has a 7-year battery, which is freaking awesome. Now, as far as how accurate this keeps time, I think I've been getting a lot of Casio, so I might be wrong on this, but I want to say that Casio says that the accuracy is plus or minus 30 seconds a month. which isn't too bad. However, I sync this up, and I didn't bring it out here, I do have one that's set to a clock that's set to the atomic clock, so it's dead accurate time. I synced it up, and for whatever reason, this one was like a real pain in the butt to like sync it, and it ended up being like 5 seconds off. I cannot remember if it was 5 seconds fast or 5 seconds slow, but after a month of me syncing them, this is still 5 seconds fast. So maybe it was 5 seconds slow and it kind of caught up. So I'm going to say that the time loss over 30 days, it's probably half of what Casio says, more like 15 seconds. So pretty darn accurate. Very happy with that as well. Now, some of the features that this watch has, you've got your alarm, your hourly chime that you can turn on and off. I've turned mine off. The 24-hour or 12-hour mode, you can choose between the two. You also have your day and date. Let's go over the display here. I guess you got a PM, your time, then the day of the week, which is Thursday right now, so we got the TH, and the date of the month, which is the 15th. You do program in what month it is, so it knows how many days in each month. It does not automatically adjust for leap year, so you're going to have to adjust that. What is that, every 3 years? So you will have to adjust that every so often. But other than that, you're good. We also have a backlight, which is way better than the F91W. Let's set our ambiance lighting here. So, comparison, we'll do the F91W real quick. There's our F91W. You can kind of make out what hour it is. Here's our 168. So much better. Yeah, absolutely love the backlight. Let's turn back on here. So very, very happy with that. And I will say, unfortunately, this style of backlight does look like Casio is kind of going away from it. The 168 is a pretty classic model, so hopefully they at least keep it around for that. But other than that, they're going to LEDs. Ones that are much better than the F91W. But I really love that backlight on there. So we've got the backlight, way better than the F91W, and a stopwatch. So once again, it's kind of got all the basic things that you could want out of a watch, especially once again at this price range. For me personally, I very much love the retro aesthetics of it. And durability isn't bad. I will say when I very first got this watch, I got it out of the box, I adjusted the band to where I wanted it. If I didn't point that out, I don't think I did. You can adjust this band. This little guy here moves up and down the actual band, so you're not taking out links. You're just moving this. And I only got a little bit left over here, but I don't find that annoying at all on my wrist. So I threw it on, had the band adjusted, and literally within like 3 minutes of me just walking around the freaking house, I think I was going to get like a Dr. Pepper or some sweet tea in the kitchen. Walk into the kitchen. My wife loves to just leave random drawers open for no good reason. And as I walked into the kitchen, this guy just smacked into the corner of the silverware drawer. And I was like, damn. I didn't even look at it, but I remember thinking immediately, I'm glad this was a cheap watch because I just broke this one. I mean, I hit it hard. I don't know why I was walking with my hand swinging so violently. But I looked at the clock, or the watch, and there was a big smudge of white paint that had come off the drawer. And I wiped it off, and I was expecting to see a big-ass mark on there, because this is just an acrylic cover. It's nothing special. And you can't even tell where that happened. Like, I don't recall where it happened, and I can't see on here. I was blown away, especially with this just being an acrylic cover. You can look on YouTube. There's people that test, like, the acrylics against sapphire and other ones. And the acrylic is garbage. So this took that impact, especially with it being, like, the corner of the drawer, just, like, smacking this guy. I was very impressed. Right then I was like, okay, Casio, you can take a little bit of a beating there. And yes, I know people will be like, G-Shocks, just hold on. I'm sitting at about 10 Casios right now, so my collection, what you're seeing now is like from 2 months ago. We will be getting to the G-Shocks soon. So overall, after wearing this watch, I was like, yes, okay. just like what I thought with the F91W, I am a watch person. I really like having one on my wrist, just being able to look at a glance what time it is, not having to go for my phone. I also just kind of like the added security of, what if I'm out somewhere and I lose my phone or my phone battery dies? I still at least can see what time it is. I really like that. So after getting this watch, I was like, yes, definitely this is going to be a thing. I think is after ordering this one, I ordered another Casio watch as well as a watch case because I knew we were going down that path. And I will take you all on that journey with me together. As someone that knows nothing about watches and has decided to not only do historical firearm reviews on YouTube, but also Casio watch reviews, apparently. I'm not saying I'll stick with Casio, but that's what we've got now. So, typically, a lot of different watch channels, after they're done with the review, they'll do a wrist check, and they'll show whatever watch they're wearing, which will be obviously a different one from their review, and go over that. Well, here at BrowncoatNerd, we do like to do things a little bit differently. So we're going to do a lacking check. Now, of course, all firearms that are out here are always unloaded. Today we've got the Sig Sauer P220. This gun I picked up a while ago, recently did a review on it, purchased it used. I'm pretty sure it was a law enforcement officer's handgun, because just the amount of wear right there, maybe that's the seatbelt from the squad car rubbing on there. And I'm sure a lot of you that aren't even into guns are like, oh yeah, Sig Sauer. I've heard of that name. Very big gun company. We won't get into the recent polymer guns that like to fire randomly on their own. But these ones were good. And actually, before it was Sig Sauer, it was just Sig. Or more specifically, before this gun, this model, it was just Sig. So this specific gun I think is very interesting for that. Basically, Sig is a Swiss company. They produced a gun. They liked it. Their police and military used it. I think they did do private sales. Now, how the Swiss law works, I don't think a company within Switzerland is allowed to sell things to a foreign government, i.e. police, military. I think they can do it commercial market, but not governments. Sig realized this was a great gun, and they had a good market for it. So they joined up with a gun company in Germany called Sauer and Son. And that's where the name Sig Sauer comes from. And basically, they started building these guns in Germany under the name Sig Sauer, and were able to produce them for the commercial market, as well as government entities around the world. So, obviously, police, American police gun. Lots of militaries use these. Now, this particular one is very interesting to me for a couple of reasons. Going back to the historical value of this being the gun that created, really, Sig Sauer. Before that, too, your typical semi-automatic gun would have a lug somewhere on the barrel that would lock into the slide. All modern guns, well, not all, most modern handguns, rather than having a lug on the barrel, right up here we got a little bit of a lip. And that's what actually locks up with the slide. So instead of having a lug down here, they just kind of integrated it with the chamber. Nothing fancy about it. It's more of a cost-cutting feature. But this is practically how all semi-automatic handguns are made today. Once again, came from this design. So I think that's pretty interesting. The other interesting thing about this particular gun is this one is a Swiss design. It is German-made, but American assembled. So all these parts are made in Germany, as notated right here, made in Germany, but we have no European proof marks on the bottom here. This was kind of in a transitional period when Sig Sauer was opening up American operations, as a lot of Sig Sauers, pretty much 99% of them, are now made in the U.S. I believe Sig of Switzerland still puts out very limited runs on guns, and they're super expensive. But anyways, so this gun, Swiss design, German parts, assembled here in the USA, which I think is kind of neat. Now, reality, I would prefer to have one that said made in West Germany or made in Switzerland. That would be cool. But hey, this is kind of a cool one. Got all those different people coming together. The design came out in 1975 for this gun. Originally it was in 9mm. But they offer them in several different calibers. And what you'll see them the most common caliber, at least in the US, is going to be 45 ACP. And that's what this example is. It holds 8 rounds of 45 ACP in the magazine, plus 1 in the chamber, so you'd have a total of 9 rounds. This particular one was made in 2003. Like I said, that's kind of a transitional period. The newer P220s, and they are still made today, will be a milled slide, where the slide would be a solid chunk of metal, and then it's just kind of cut out to be the shape of the slide. These earlier ones, it's actually a sheet of metal that is stamped into the shape. And you'll notice this reinforced piece of metal here, this is your breech face, and it's just like one big chunk in here that's got the firing pin in it, and they needed something sturdy. I mean, that stamped steel is not going to hold up to that, so that's one easy way to identify the stamped steel ones. You got this little flat section up here. The back is slightly different from a milled one. You'd almost have to put them side by side for that. And then the milled ones also have an external extractor, the little piece that pulls the round out of the chamber. On these ones, it's internal, so you don't see it. It's behind this metal here. It is a single stack mag, which is why it only holds 8 rounds. This one is a double action, single action. What that means, when the hammer is down, you can pull the trigger and it would fire. Once again, we are working with an empty firearm. So when you pull that back, the hammer is going back. This is what they call double action. But the trigger pull, me pulling on the trigger, it's pretty heavy, and it's not the lightest. Then the gun would fire, the slide racks back, loads another round, and you'll notice the hammer is down. One, the trigger is much further back than it was before, so we have less of a distance to pull. And on top of that, the actual weight to make the trigger drop the hammer is much less than when you start all the way out here. And that, with the hammer down, that is your single action. This gun also features a decocker right here. So if the hammer is down, you're not using the gun anymore, you want to keep one in the chamber, but you want that heavier trigger, which is kind of a safer way to carry the gun to help prevent accidental discharges. This lever here will drop the hammer, but it doesn't fire the gun. So once again, this is kind of a feature that any hammer fired gun nowadays typically will have. This was not the first gun by any means to feature that, but it was pretty nice. And this little lever back here, push up on that when you have the slide back, and it will lock the slide all the way back. And then of course, if you push it down, it will drop the slide. So that is my Sig P220. Rather well used. The screws are even starting to get rather rusty. Very accurate gun, very fun gun to shoot. So I felt like that was probably the best pairing I had for the 168. Another good contender was my Smith & Wesson, but I've got another watch for that guy. So thank you guys for watching. If you did enjoy this video, please consider liking and subscribing. Don't forget to check me out on my Instagram as well as my Rumble. And of course, as always, stay safe and stay shiny.